There's a strange truth about breakups that nobody tells you. Right after the breakup, it feels like you are the only one hurting. You're the one replaying memories. You're the one checking their profile. You're the one wondering what went wrong. And it looks like they're perfectly fine, posting stories, going out, smiling, living life. But here's what most people don't understand. Pain in breakups is often delayed, and the person who looks fine at the beginning often feels it the most later. Today, we're going to talk about why, psychologically, your ex will often start feeling worse over time. Not because of revenge, not because of karma, but because of human psychology. When a relationship ends, two emotional timelines begin. One person feels the pain immediately. The other often feels relief first, then pain later. Why? Because during the relationship, one person may have already been emotionally distancing themselves. So when the breakup happens, they feel freedom instead of loss. But freedom is temporary. Loss is delayed. And delayed emotions don't disappear, they accumulate. Right after a breakup, many people enter what psychologists call a relief phase. They feel free from arguments, free from responsibility, free from emotional expectations. They go out more, they socialize more, they post more online. But this phase is not healing, it's distraction. And distraction has an expiration date. When the noise settles, when the nights get quiet, when there's no one to text about small things anymore, that's when reality arrives. At the beginning of a breakup, people focus on negative memories to justify leaving. They remember the fights, the misunderstandings, the frustrations. But as time passes, the brain changes strategy. Negative memories fade faster than positive ones. This is called emotional memory filtering. Months later, what remains are the laughs, the inside jokes, the comfort, the emotional safety. And when those memories return, they hit harder because they're no longer available in real life. In the early stages, ego protects emotions. Thoughts like, I can find someone better, I'm fine alone, it was their loss. These thoughts are emotional armor. But ego doesn't last forever. Reality always outlives ego. As weeks turn into months, confidence based on ego turns into reflection based on truth. And truth is quieter but heavier. Time introduces comparison. When they meet new people, they subconsciously compare them to you. Not because they want to return, but because the brain uses past experiences as benchmarks. And often, new connections lack familiarity, shared history, emotional depth. That's when they realize something important. Connections aren't easily replaceable, and realization hurts more than the breakup itself. At first, loneliness is masked by activity, friends, outings, social media. But loneliness is not the absence of people, it's the absence of emotional familiarity. Months later, when routines settle, they notice the empty spaces. No one to send random memes to. No one who understands their moods instantly. No one who remembers small preferences. These absences don't scream, they whisper, every day. And whispers last longer than loud pain. Here's the ironic part. While they're distracted early on, you're often growing. You start working on yourself. Fitness, skills, confidence, emotion often heals first. Why? Because they confront emotions immediately. They cry, reflect, accept, improve. The person who delays pain delays healing. So while you move forward gradually, they process emotions later, often when you've already reached peace. This is not about revenge. It's not about hoping they suffer. The real message is this: time balances emotions. Pain doesn't disappear, it shifts. The one who grows, learns, and builds themselves feels lighter over time. The one who distracts, avoids, and delays often feels heavier later. After a breakup, many people believe the world is full of better options, more attractive people, more exciting personalities, more perfect partners. But over time, they realize something important. Options are many, compatibility is rare. The grass often looks greener because they stopped watering the one they had. And realization doesn't come instantly. It comes after repeated disappointments. In relationships, people underestimate emotional safety. That feeling of being understood without explaining, sharing silence comfortably, laughing without filters. New relationships may bring excitement, but excitement fades. Safety stays. And when they lose emotional safety, they start understanding its value, usually too late. Time doesn't just heal, it edits memories. Arguments fade, awkward moments disappear. What stays are highlight reels. Your ex may start remembering trips, late-night talks, random laughs, support during hard times. Nostalgia is powerful. It turns ordinary moments into emotional treasures. Months later, people often recognize effort they once overlooked. Things like checking in daily, supporting their goals, listening during bad days, showing up consistently. When they encounter new people who don't match that effort, they realize the difference, and realization brings weight. Shared circles play a psychological role. When mutual friends mention you, when your name comes up casually, when your progress is talked about, you reappear in their awareness without trying. And the more they hear about your growth, the stronger the internal comparison becomes. One of the most persistent emotions after time passes is curiosity. What if we had tried harder? What if I communicated better? What if I stayed? These questions don't always lead to contact, but they linger in the background. And unanswered what-ifs often hurt more than clear endings. Relationships create routines. Good morning texts, weekly meetups, inside jokes, shared playlists. When those rituals disappear, it creates subtle emotional gaps. At first, they go unnoticed. Later, they become reminders of absence. As you evolve, mentally, physically, emotionally, you become a different version of yourself. And when they notice that evolution, they may feel a strange mix of pride and regret. Not because they want to return, but because they see the potential they once shared. Growth creates emotional distance, and distance creates reflection. When you don't reach out, you remove reassurance. Silence creates space for introspection. It forces unanswered thoughts to surface. When there's no new message, no updates, no interaction, the mind fills the silence with reflection. Ironically, some people only understand the depth of a relationship after they've fully lost access to it. When they finally accept what it meant, the other person has already healed. And that timing difference is what creates emotional heaviness. Over time, people often see reflections of past relationships in new situations. A habit, a phrase, a shared interest. Something small triggers memory, and suddenly, the past feels close again. Not because they want to return, but because emotional imprints don't erase quickly. When life becomes stable again, routine, work, calm evenings, the absence becomes clearer. Distractions fade, reality settles, and stability often brings the clearest emotional awareness. At the beginning, ego is loud. Later, it becomes quiet. And when ego quiets, honest thoughts appear. This is when people admit to themselves what they never said out loud. Early on, people justify decisions emotionally. Later, justifications lose strength. Without emotional heat, they start evaluating choices logically, and logic often brings mixed feelings. Eventually, emotions reach equilibrium. Not sadness, not regret, but understanding. And understanding sometimes carries a quiet heaviness, the recognition of something meaningful that ended. Your ex feeling worse over time is not a guarantee of misery. It's a natural psychological pattern when emotions are postponed instead of processed. But here's the most important truth. Your goal is not to wait for their regret. Your goal is to build a life where their regret no longer matters. Because the moment you stop wondering how they feel is the moment you truly move forward. And moving forward is the only real victory.